All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about something called Protocol Zero. Think of it as the hidden set of rules, the invisible programming that might be running your life without you even knowing it's there. I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. What if you think you're in the driver's seat, making all these conscious choices, but you're actually just a passenger, following a script somebody else wrote for you years ago? That's the big question we're going to unpack.
And to really get our heads around this, we've got to go back in time, to a single moment, really, when one person's decision could have wiped civilization right off the map.
Okay, so picture this. It's September 26, 1983. You're sitting in a secret Soviet nuclear command center. All of a sudden, the alarms just start blaring. The screens are flashing red, launch detected. The system confirms it. It's not a glitch. 5 American nuclear missiles are screaming towards you. Now, the official protocol, the rule book, is totally clear. You report the launch, and you begin an immediate, world-ending counterstrike. But the man on duty that night, Stanislav Petrov, he did the one thing he was never supposed to do. He ignored the system. You see, the critical part of the story is the question Petrov asked himself, a question the computer was never programmed to even consider. He stepped outside the rigid black and white logic of the protocol, and he used his human reason. He saw a flaw in what the system was telling him was truth, and in that single moment, he literally saved the world. What Stanislav Petrov showed in that bunker, well, it actually has a name. It's a skill called Metacognitive Intelligence. It's this incredibly rare ability to see the rules of the game while you're still in the middle of playing it. And this is the key to escaping our own invisible programming. So let's bring this back to us. Let's talk about the programming that we're all dealing with, the systems that are a whole lot harder to spot than a flashing red alarm on a screen. You know, the biggest weakness of the human mind, it's not a lack of knowledge or intelligence. It's something called system blindness. It's this built-in inability to see the hidden scripts and protocols that are quietly directing our actions, our thoughts, and even our biggest life decisions. And this brings us right to that core concept, Protocol Zero. This is that base-level programming that's running in the background of your mind 24/7. It was installed a long time ago, and for most of us, it's been operating on complete autopilot ever since. Just how much are we on autopilot? Well, you might be surprised. Research shows that a staggering 45% of our daily behavior isn't a conscious choice at all. Nope, it's just automated loops running on repeat, day in, day out. Almost half of your day is basically dictated by your programming. And these loops, they probably feel pretty familiar. You've got ego loops, right, where our need to be right completely overrides finding the truth. You've got fear loops, where we avoid any kind of risk, even if it means missing out on huge opportunities. And of course, you've got the simple habit loops, everything from how we drive to work to how we react in a conversation. So where does all this programming come from anyway? What's the master controller for all these little loops? Well, it turns out the answer lies in what we can call the brain's operating system. It's your identity, seriously. Think of your identity as the OS for your brain. It's the master program, and all the smaller apps, your habits, your beliefs, your behaviors, they all have to plug into it to run. But here's the catch. This core operating system, it was mostly programmed for you by your parents, your culture, and society before you even turned 20. And now, as an adult, that OS just runs on its own, constantly filtering, sometimes even twisting reality to protect its own code. Just how powerful is this filter? Get this. In one study, even math experts got basic statistics wrong when the right answer threatened their political identity. Their high IQ wasn't a tool for finding truth. It became a weapon to defend their internal system. Okay, so we're running on old code that actively defends itself. That sounds pretty bleak, I know. But here is the really good news. You can rewrite the program. And that all starts with understanding the power of adaptation. This is where we need to kind of redefine what it means to be smart. It's not about having all the answers. Real intelligence is about agility. It's how quickly you can recognize that reality has shifted and then update your own identity to match. This really gives us 2 paths, 2 different types of identity. We can stick with the programmed identity, the one that's static, rigid, and always defending itself, or we can build an adaptive identity, one that's dynamic, flexible, and always chooses truth over comfort, one that's constantly updating itself with new data from the world. So how do we actually do that, right? How do we go from being programmed to being adaptive? Well, it comes down to a really simple but powerful 3-step feedback loop. This whole process involves 3 key shifts. First, we got to adopt a new mindset about what we believe. Second, we have to intentionally shape our social environment. And third, we need to focus on what we do, not just what we think.
All right, let's break this down. First up, the Bayesian Mindset. This just means you treat your beliefs, things like I'm not a leader or I'm bad with money, not as facts, but as hypotheses. Your job is to go test them. Go get the data from the real world and then update your own code. Next, your social environment. Your identity is massively shaped by what the people around you think is normal. So if you want to change, you need to surround yourself with people for whom your desired behavior is just their standard. It's what they do. And finally, step 3 is repeated behavior. Look, you don't find yourself, you build yourself through action. You have to act like the person you want to become, and your brain will eventually update its identity to match the evidence you're giving it.
The simplest way to get started on this, right now, today, is with an identity journal. It's so easy. Just write down the identity you want to build. Then, each day, write down 1 or 2 actions you took that serve as proof for that new identity. You start to see the gaps, and you just keep building.
Because when you boil it all down, this is the real takeaway. The world is constantly changing. It's evolving. It's throwing new data at us every second. A static identity in a dynamic world, that's a liability. Your ability to adapt is your greatest asset. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. In that moment of crisis, Stanislav Petrov decided to write his own protocol. Every single day, you get that same choice, in moments big and small. So the question is, who's writing yours?